It was nearly midnight when Daniel heard the faint creak of his back door. The sound sliced through the silence of his small suburban home like a whisper of trouble. He froze, his hand tightening around the mug of cold coffee he'd been nursing for hours. For a moment, he thought exhaustion was playing tricks on him again. Ever since his wife died 2 years ago, sleepless nights had become part of his reality, just him and the clock ticking endlessly toward dawn. But then he heard it again. Softer this time, deliberate, cautious footsteps on his kitchen floor. Someone was in his house. Before we dive deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel, Single Son Stories. Your support helps us spread more heartfelt tales like this one. Daniel rose quietly from his chair, every muscle tensed. He moved down the dark hallway, the faint glow of the streetlight cutting narrow lines across his living room. When he turned the corner into the kitchen, what he saw made him stop in his tracks. There, standing near the counter with trembling hands, was a woman, thin, pale, her clothes soaked from the rain outside. She looked terrified, frozen mid-step like a shadow caught in a flash of light. And then Daniel noticed something else. Behind her, half hidden by the table leg, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7, barefoot, with tangled hair and eyes wide as the moon. For a moment, no one spoke. The woman's breath came in short gasps. She looked at Daniel as if she expected him to shout, to call the police, to throw them out into the night. But Daniel didn't. He couldn't. Because when his gaze drifted from the woman to the little girl, he saw something that made his heart crack. She wasn't looking at him at all. She was staring at his kitchen table, at the half-eaten plate of spaghetti he had left there earlier. Her small stomach growled softly in the quiet. And that sound, so innocent, so helpless, hit Daniel harder than any words ever could. He slowly set his mug down on the counter, his mind racing. The woman's face flushed with shame, her lips quivering as she whispered an apology he barely heard. She turned as if to leave, clutching her daughter's hand, but Daniel stopped her. Not with words, just a gentle shake of his head. He moved toward the table, picked up the plate, and slid it across to the girl. Her mother hesitated, confused and afraid, but the little one didn't. Hunger overcame fear. She stepped forward and began to eat, small bites at first, then faster, like she hadn't tasted food in days. Daniel watched in silence, a lump forming in his throat. He'd seen that same look before, in his own reflection, years ago, when he was the one struggling to feed his son after his wife's death. The woman's name was Claire. She confessed, in a broken, trembling voice, that she and her daughter, Lily, had been living in their car for nearly 2 weeks. She'd lost her job at a diner after missing too many shifts caring for her sick child. She had gone to a local shelter, but it was full. That night, she'd seen Daniel's porch light on, smelled food through the open window, and her desperation had pushed her into something she never thought she'd do. Step into a stranger's home, not to steal, but to find a scrap of food for her little girl. Daniel listened quietly. He didn't judge. Instead, he found himself remembering his own dark nights, the ones when his son, Ethan, had cried himself to sleep, asking why Mommy wasn't coming back, and Daniel had no words to comfort him. He remembered the months he'd lived on instant noodles, the bills he couldn't pay, the loneliness that seemed endless. Without thinking, Daniel offered them his couch for the night. Claire tried to refuse, pride and fear warring in her eyes, but the exhaustion on her face said otherwise. That night, after tucking Lily under a blanket, Daniel sat at his table long after everyone had fallen asleep. He looked at the sleeping woman and child, and for the first time in years, his empty house didn't feel so empty anymore. Morning came softly. The scent of pancakes filled the air. When Claire woke, she found Daniel cooking, something he hadn't done for anyone but Ethan in years. He smiled awkwardly, offered her a seat, and for the first time, Lily laughed. It was a small, sweet sound that filled the kitchen like sunlight breaking through rain. Days turned into weeks. Daniel helped Claire find small cleaning jobs around the neighborhood. In return, she watched over Ethan after school, cooked dinner when Daniel worked late, and slowly, something unspoken began to bloom between them. Something fragile, something healing. But life, as Daniel knew too well, never stayed easy for long. One evening he came home to find Claire packing her things. The shelter had called. They finally had room. She didn't want to be a burden. Daniel's heart clenched as he watched her struggle to explain, tears streaming down her cheeks. She said she was grateful for his kindness, but she couldn't keep taking what wasn't hers. Before Daniel could speak, Lily ran up to him, clutching his leg, crying, "Don't make us go, please." That one sentence shattered him completely. He kneeled beside the little girl and held her close. In her small arms, he felt the echo of his own child's loneliness. He turned to Claire, his voice trembling but certain. He told her she wasn't a burden, she was family now. That his home had been silent for far too long, and their laughter had brought it back to life. Tears filled Claire's eyes as she sank to her knees, overwhelmed by a kindness she had forgotten existed. That night they didn't leave. They stayed. Months passed. Claire found a stable job at a local bakery, and Lily became Ethan's best friend. Every Sunday morning, the four of them, Daniel, Ethan, Claire, and Lily, would sit around the table eating pancakes, laughing and sharing stories. The house that once echoed with grief now overflowed with warmth and laughter. Daniel often caught himself staring at that same kitchen table where it all began, the night a desperate woman and her hungry daughter stumbled into his life. He thought about fate, about loss and second chances, and how sometimes the people we're meant to help end up saving us instead. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of the power of compassion, please like, share, and subscribe to Single Son Stories. Let's remind the world that kindness can change lives in ways we never expect. Special request to comment. Comment below with a if you believe that one small act of kindness can change someone's entire world. Tell us what this story made you feel. Your words might inspire someone else to do good today.